In today's video, I'm going to show you 3 ways to take your waffles to the next level. And also, I've got a brand new waffle iron and it's the perfect excuse to use it. Begin by placing 270 grams of plain or all-purpose flour into a mixing bowl and then add in 50 grams of caster sugar, 8 grams of baking powder and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Next, pour in 480 milliliters of milk and 100 grams of melted unsalted butter. And then we're going to add in 2 eggs, but first we need to separate them because the yolks are going in now, and then we're going to whip the egg whites and add them in later. So one way to do it is just to crack your egg and swap the yolk from side to side and let the egg white fall out, and then the egg yolk can go straight into your bowl. Or the other way, crack your egg open and you can just put it through your fingers, let the egg white fall through, keep hold of the egg yolk, and then you can put the egg yolk in the bowl. We'll come back to the egg whites a little bit later on, and then finally we just need to add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla bean paste or vanilla extract and give everything a good whisk together until there's no more dry flour. Now that that's done, you want to give your whisk a good wash before we start whisking our egg whites, because any residue of the batter on the whisk will stop the egg whites from rising properly. Whisk your egg whites until stiff peaks. So basically until you can hold the bowl above your head and they won't fall out. You could use an electric hand whisk for this and it'll make it much easier. But if you want a bit of a workout, get stuck in with the hand whisk. So there we go, moment of truth. Will they stay in the bowl? And of course they will. Next, we're going to fold the egg whites through the waffle batter. Separate your mixture into 3 if you're trying all flavours, or if you're just trying one flavour, times the quantities that I'm using for the flavourings by 3. Place 2 of the mixtures to one side and we'll move on to making our first flavour. These ones are going to be Banoffee waffles and the batter is just going to stay how it is for this one. For this recipe we need to make a salted caramel. So begin by placing a small saucepan over a low heat and add in 50 grams of caster sugar. Allow the sugar to melt, and once it reaches a light amber colour, pour in 65 milliliters of double or heavy cream. Then add in 15 grams of unsalted butter and stir it together. Once it looks like a nice smooth sauce, add in a pinch of salt, stir it through and remove it from the heat. Transfer it into a bowl ready to use later. Once your sauce cools, if it's a bit too thick and not as runny as you like it, you can always add in a splash of water or an extra splash of cream just to loosen it up again. Next, take 1 banana, peel it and then slice it. And now we can cook our waffles. Preheat your waffle iron. If you're using a machine like mine, it might already have a setting on it, and I'm just using the classic setting, which cooks them for around 5 minutes, which should result in nice golden waffles. So ladle in your batter, close the lid, and cook until golden and crisp. To serve, place a nice even layer of your sliced banana on the top and then a good scoop of vanilla ice cream. Drizzle over as much or as little of the salted caramel as you like, and then grate over a little bit of dark chocolate. And that's your Banoffee waffles ready to eat. For our next recipe, we're making blueberry and lemon drizzle waffles with candied lemon zest. Into one of the bowls of batter you put aside earlier on, zest in 1 lemon. Place 70 grams of blueberries. Mix it together until the ingredients are fully incorporated into the batter. Next, we're going to move on to making the candied lemon zest. So take another lemon and a potato peeler, and then peel off strips of lemon rind. Next, taking a sharp paring knife, you want to remove any white that's left on the lemon rind, because that's the pith, and the pith is really bitter. So lay the rind down with the white pith facing up, and then just gently cut away the white pith. Once that's all done, you can then julienne the strips of lemon into even thinner strips. Place a saucepan half filled with water over a high heat and bring it to a boil. Once boiling, place in your strips of lemon zest and cook for 30 seconds to 1 minute. Then remove them from the water. Empty the water out the pan and place it back onto the heat and add in 50 grams of caster sugar, followed by 60 milliliters of water. Once the sugar is fully dissolved, place the lemon zest back into the sugar syrup and cook it for 5 minutes. You'll notice that the lemon rind will become translucent by this point, and that's when you can take it off the heat. Pass it through a sieve, making sure to keep the syrup because it's full of zesty flavour, and that's what we're going to make our drizzle out of. Now mix the lemon zest with some caster sugar until it's fully coated and leave it to one side, ready to garnish with later. Into the remaining sugar syrup, place in the juice of 1 lemon, stir through 70 grams of icing sugar and mix it until it's smooth. And this will make the perfect drizzle to top our waffles with. So place your lemon and blueberry waffle batter into your preheated waffle iron and cook until golden. To serve, stack them up onto a plate, finish with more fresh blueberries, a good amount of the lemon drizzle and a nice pile of that delicious candied lemon zest. And that's your blueberry and lemon drizzle waffles ready to eat. Next we'll move on to making our chocolate and raspberry waffles. Take the final bowl of waffle mixture and mix through 20 grams of cocoa powder and give everything a good whisk together. Set it to one side and we'll move on to making a delicious raspberry coulis. Into a saucepan, place 100 grams of raspberries. I'm using fresh raspberries for this, but it's absolutely fine to use frozen. And then place in the juice of 1 lemon, 20 milliliters of water and 20 grams of caster sugar. Heat it until the liquid is simmering and then cook until the raspberries completely break down. As soon as they break down, remove them from the heat and pass the mixture through a sieve. At this stage you can taste your raspberry coulis, and if it's a little bit too tart you can always mix through some extra caster sugar or icing sugar to sweeten it up. Take 50 grams of dark chocolate and chop it into chunks. Place your chocolate waffle batter into your preheated waffle iron and cook until crisp. To serve, stack them up onto a plate and scatter with some fresh raspberries. Give it a good scoop of vanilla ice cream and drizzle over the delicious raspberry coulis. Finally, finish it with a good handful of those dark chocolate chunks. So there's 3 different ways you can take your waffles to the next level, and I hope you've learned a few little techniques along the way there throughout this video. The big question is, which one are you choosing? Because I'm left with no choice. I've got to have them all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.